I do want to bring in former FBI agent Jennifer Coffindoffer now. She's been following this case closely. Jennifer, this is a real head scratcher for anybody who has been watching the developments unfold. A lot of people questioning if authorities, the FBI, had been out at this reserve day after day, week after week. How did they not find something? And then all of a sudden today, human remains.
Well, I think the two keys are, number one, the water receding. And number two, the big key is that park was opened. So when that park opened, there were many people out there searching and looking on their own for remains or whatever else they could find that might be involved in this case. And I'm just convinced that somebody reached out possibly to the laundries and mentioned that the water had receded, maybe even that they thought they saw something. And that provoked the laundries to go out and look. If not that, perhaps just the fact that the laundries did want to go to the park, since now it was open for them to look. But having said that, it is so suspicious and really hard for anyone, I think, in law enforcement or in the public to swallow this event, how they've unfolded.
Well, and the other thing that there's chatter about, certainly on social media, is they've had cadaver dogs out there sniffing for human remains, trying to get on a scent. Wouldn't they have been able to smell this out?
In my experience, a cadaver dog can smell remains through water, through mud. They can pick up those scents. I find it very interesting that they did not pick up the scent in the past. Yet, apparently, those remains have been there for some long period of time, as they are described as remains as opposed to a body. And we have cadaver dogs out there looking for pieces of those remains.
Help us read between the lines a little bit in what the FBI did say today. And we've been waiting for them to come out and say something. They've been very tight-lipped. And what they didn't say, based on your experience in the FBI.
Well, the two main things they said that, of course, were shocking to all of us is they found human remains, which we are all believing are Brian Laundrie's. And I think the second thing was they were very cautious to say that they want to wait for more analysis, that they're going to be spending quite a long time out there looking for additional evidence and indicia of the remains and of Brian Laundrie being there. And I think that's very crucial to understand that we don't have all the answers now.
We're hearing from the medical examiner it could take a couple of days. Without getting too graphic in terms of partial human remains, what does that tell you about the challenges that they face in identifying whoever this is?
Well, it's going to be much more difficult. If that body was in the water, it is going to increase the amount of decay that is occurring, the speed at which the decay has occurred. We don't know what other elements, such as alligators or other creatures, contributed to the disintegration of the body. And it means that it's going to be quite involved, the pathology, to find out the answers of how long this body has been deceased and how it came to be deceased.
You and I have talked a lot about the parents' behavior, and this has been something that the public has been very focused on, Jennifer. The attorney today for the Laundrie family said Chris and Roberta will wait for the forensic identification of the human remains before making any additional comments. How does that statement land with you?
I will be very surprised personally if they come out and say anything. And this is why I don't believe it's in their best interest. I don't think there's anything they could say at this point that would explain their behavior. From the onset of this case, with the disappearance of Gabby, with investigators going to their door and them handing a lawyer card to the investigators, to the whole situation with the disappearance of their son, confusing the date, whether he left on the 14th or the 13th, the leaving of the Mustang, and then the picking up of the Mustang, if you really thought your son was there. There are so many odd actions of the Laundries that I think will be difficult for them to ever explain.
Jennifer, one more before I let you go. If Brian Laundrie is dead, what does that mean for the investigation into Gabby's death?
Well, the FBI is going to continue to investigate who killed Gabby Petito, even though we all believe it to be Brian Laundrie. They have to put together that evidence because you have to consider that there could be another person out there responsible. They are going to put together a complete case and make sure they have the evidence together to show that Brian Laundrie is responsible for her tragic death.
Justice for Gabby, no stone left unturned. Jennifer Coffindoffer, as always, thank you. We'll be seeing you shortly.